Hey guys, it's Megan. Welcome back to the library and another video today. I'm not doing monthly wrap-ups anymore because I just don't know that I'm going to read as many books this year. You know, that was one of my goals, read fewer books, don't put some pressure on myself to read a certain number. So I thought that instead of doing monthly wrap-ups, just every now and then I could just talk about the books I have been reading recently, just whenever I feel like it's a good time to wrap them up. So I've read 5 books so far this year, and I've also DNF'd 2 others, and I'm currently in the middle of another one. So I thought, 5 books, I should probably go ahead and talk to you about them so these videos don't get super duper long, and I can actually say a little bit about each book. So I'm just gonna go in order of the books I've read so far this year. The first book I finished was Crown of Midnight, which is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. So I went in with very low expectations for this entire series, right? And book 1 surprised me. I mean, I gave it 3.5 stars. Like, it wasn't anything spectacular, but I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And I knew the series was probably going to get better. Everybody has told me that she wrote the book when she was really young, and that, as she got to be a better writer, the books, increased in quality. So this one, book 2, I gave 3.75 stars, like almost 4 stars. 4 stars would mean I really, really like it, right? Like not an all-time favorite, but would highly recommend. So it's close to that level. It was so fast-paced, and that's why I enjoyed it. Honestly, had no idea what was going to happen in each scene. Like, it just felt like a bunch of random scenes kind of all stuck together. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but that's kind of how I felt as I was reading it, and I enjoyed that aspect of it, actually, because I really didn't know what to expect next. And the plot's going somewhere that I really, really like. I liked some of the magic that was introduced in here, some of the kind of like lore or history that I think is going to be interesting. So, and I do still like all the characters relatively. Once we get to book 3, we'll see that's not necessarily the case anymore. Then I read Starling House. So Alex E. Harrow and I have a sordid past. I read the 10,000 Doors of January years ago at this point, and I have some bad memories of that because it took me like 3 or 4 months to read it. So that was probably my fault for that book. But then I did not like that one, but I liked her writing style. I thought it was very beautiful. It was very kind of like lyrical writing. And so I decided to read some of her short stories, or not short stories, but like short little novellas, the Spindle, Splintered, and whatever the other one's called. That's kind of like a Sleeping Beauty retelling, because I love Sleeping Beauty, which is why I decided to read it. And I loved those. I liked both of A Mirror Mended, that's the other one. I liked both of those little novellas. So I thought Starling House sounded better because I thought I liked the plot better than I would 10,000 Doors of January. And since I knew I liked her writing style, I thought I'd give it a try. However, I wound up giving this book 3 stars. I thought it was just very okay. It wasn't as like creepy or scary as I wanted it to be. It didn't have as many vibes as I wanted it to have. It was kind of boring. I feel like maybe novellas are like where it's at for her, because I heard another novella she has, Kayla from Books and Lala talks about it, and she really likes that one too. So I don't know, maybe it's something with her and novellas that I enjoy them a lot better. Then I was so disappointed, and maybe I should have got into it with much lower expectations, but one of everyone's favorite books of the year has been Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. And so I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try because everybody else seems to like it. It's whimsical and fun, and it's supposed to be, kind of an interesting writing style where it sounds old-timey, which I kind of liked that aspect of it. It was just the plot. I just didn't care about anything that was happening. I didn't care about the romance. I thought there was going to be more romance than there was, but I didn't feel like the romance was really kind of, I don't know, like it was just, I don't know. It was, I guess it is supposed to be more cozy. Like the stakes aren't supposed to be very high. So I guess I went into it with maybe just too high expectations, not knowing that it was just more of a cozy, fun little thing. I don't know. The ending was pretty good, but overall, every time I picked this book up, I just didn't want to read it. So I had to give it 2.5 stars. Did I really like it less than Starling House though? I don't feel like I did, but every time I just didn't want to pick it back up again. So I guess that's a sign that, it was more like a 2-star book. Then I read this gigantic thing, Air of Fire, and it took forever because I listened to the audiobook and I tried not to speed it up too much. I think I did 1.5 speed because I didn't want to miss anything, because that's what goes wrong with fantasy a lot of the times, is that I try to listen to it too fast and I miss something, and then I'm lost and confused, and then I wind up not enjoying the book. So I thought, okay, I'll slow down and that'll make it better. No, it didn't. If anything, I should have sped it up because this book is so slow. Oh my gosh, the pace is nothing like the previous 2 books. Like the first 2 books were so fast paced, and then something happens in this one and everything slows down. And there's kind of, you're following like 3 different areas of this world they live in with 3 different like main characters in each one, or a couple different main characters in each one. And every time, you would think that if there was at least one of them that I would look forward to each time, that it would make it good, right? But I didn't look forward to any of them. I'd be like, okay, now it's this character's perspective for a whole chapter. Okay. All right, next chapter. Oh, it's okay. It's back to that character's perspective. Ugh. And like none of the three, I wasn't excited about any of them. I felt like Selena's story was probably the most boring. I was more excited about the other points of view that we got. I still don't know how some of them, there's one point of view in here that you don't even know how it's going to connect to the whole story yet. So I am kind of intrigued by that one, although I still felt like some of the chapters got kind of long and boring when it came to that one too. I think I was just comparing it to the pace of the other novels. My biggest fear is that the rest of the series, because there's 4 more books in this thing, that the rest of the series is going to be just as slow and boring. But people assure me that that is not the case. I've talked to several people about it now, and they say that no, it picks back up. Like book 4 is really good. A lot of people say book 5, I think it is their favorite. Or is that the one? I can't remember. The one you're supposed to do the tandem read. Is that 5 and 6? I can't remember. I think I'll do the tandem read because that sounds pretty cool. But I like Cale as a main character, so I don't see a problem with reading an entire book from his point of view. But maybe I'll change my mind by the time I get to that part. I am going to continue the series. I'm just pausing and taking some time off. I don't want to take too much time off because I'm afraid I will forget what happened if I take too long. But I think I'm going to have to take just a little break because I really had to push through this one, and I wound up giving it 2.5 stars. The final book I finished in, I was going to say the month of January, but no, actually I think I just finished it like a couple days ago, is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Why would I read this, you ask? Because I clearly didn't like the Inheritance Games. I DNF'd it. I don't like little young adult books like this, but I decided something about this one was calling to me, and I've never been more glad that I decided to pick it up. Gladder? Is that a word? Gladder. I guess it is, right? Because it's only one syllable. Never been gladder? That just sounds weird. Anyway, I decided to pick this up, and it was super short. The audiobook was 7 hours long and sped up at 5 hours or whatever. I gave this 4.5 stars for what it was. So why did I give this book 4.5 stars, you ask us? Well, like I said, it's going into it, the expectations is part of it, right? Is that I knew what this was going to be, and for what it was great. It didn't propose to be anything different. There were no scenes that were fillers. Every scene was super important, I felt like, for some reason. I thought the pacing was great because of that. So basically, it's about a girl who is super good at like criminal profiling, basically. She is kind of like a Sherlock Holmes. She can pay attention to every little detail and be able to, tell you anything about that person or whatever, kind of, well, like Sherlock Holmes actually. But this book also reminded me of I Hunt Killers by Barry Lygo, which is of course a 5-star, one of my all-time favorite books, because it is about a girl hunting for a serial killer, but she has to team up with other people who have, I say powers, they're not superpowers. They're just like really close to superpowers though. They're just extraordinary abilities. Well, they're naturals at things. That's why they're called the Naturals. So they join this program that the FBI has called the Naturals that is for teens who are training basically to be some important person in the FBI. And you're like, really, does the FBI need these teenagers? Like that's kind of ridiculous that they are going to rely on them to solve crimes, but they really don't rely on them. It's really just a training program. And so each character has a different like ability, whether it's a human lie detector kind of person or somebody that's really good at reading emotions, or there's another criminal profiler. And so and a girl that's really good at statistics and probabilities. And I just really liked the way they all interacted with each other and they all had their own little powers. It's almost like X-Men too. Like if you combine I Hunt Killers and X-Men plus the Inheritance Games, that would be this book, I guess. Because there's also a love triangle, spoiler alert. It's not really a spoiler. I mean, it's pretty obvious right off the bat. But I actually enjoyed that aspect of it because I didn't think it took over the whole plot of the book, but it made it interesting enough that I want to know who she's going to get with in the future. Because this is also a series. It is a 4-book series. I'm struggling to find the audiobooks of the other books in the series, but I am definitely going to be continuing this one. Finally, I did DNF 2 books this month, or this quarter, whatever I'm gonna call it, like this for this video. I DNF'd 2 books. I DNF'd Our Share of Night by Mariana Enrique at 11% because it was really boring and it was super duper long and it was supposed to be scary, and so far it wasn't scary at all. I think it was eventually gonna get scary, but oh my gosh, the plot setup was taking forever and I just decided I didn't have time for that. I also DNF'd Raiders of the Lost Heart. This is a rom-com, obviously. It is supposed to be like obviously sort of a parody of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and since my husband loves Indiana Jones, I thought I would have to try and read it. I only made it 10%, and it's a short book too, so like I gave it a little bit of a chance, but it was just ridiculous. Like it literally within the first 5 pages, she'd already traveled to South America or wherever she was going, and I was like, the plot is moving too fast, and I don't care about anything that's happening. Finally, my current read right now is the Elon Musk biography by Walter Isaacson. Right now, this book has a 4.42 stars on Goodreads, and it's like 600 pages long or more. The audiobook's like 21 hours long, and I thought that there was no way I was going to enjoy this, because how could I read a biography of one person for that long unless they were absolutely fascinating? turns out Elon Musk is absolutely fascinating. Like, I am obsessed with this book. I'm 44% of the way through. So I'm like, I've read 300 pages of this thing at this point, and I can't wait to read more. Like, I don't want this book to be over. It is going to be one of my favorite books of the year. I have a feeling. Is it going to be a 5-star read? Possibly. Maybe 4.5. The only thing I haven't enjoyed so far is the fact that at the very beginning, his early life is skimmed over very quickly. Like, he gets to be really rich and kind of successful within, I don't know, the first few chapters of the book, I guess. And so I kind of do wish I'd seen more of his rise to like fame and success and just how he really actually got started. I was like, wait, how did he really start from nothing, like from the ground up? And I just didn't get that at the beginning. But other than that, the stories in this book are absolutely fascinating. And I'll talk more about it in my wrap up next time, and we'll see how I feel at the end. But right now, I cannot get enough of this book. So guys, those are all the books I've read recently. Let me know down below if you've read any of them. Should I continue Throne of Glass? Does book 4 pick up the pace and get a little bit better, or what? Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.